to another painting stream. It's Wednesday. We're hanging out. We're here. We're doing a live stream. We're painting up Swan from Modifius Entertainment's Fallout Wasteland Warfare. My name's Ryan. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. See, we got a couple folks tuning in already. Good to see ya. Robin Mankiller, good to catch ya live. It's good to be seen live. Thank you so much for tuning in. Working on some Fallout painting right now. Fantastic. iScoreP, good to see ya as always in the chat, tuning in. We're going to do some painting here today. We're going to get some painting tunes going, and we're going to slide through the next hour here with a nice relaxing, post work for me, maybe in the middle of your day for you, wherever you are enjoying this. We're going to ease right into a little bit of painting and work on the lower extremities of this big old super mutant. Always love to hear what you're working on as well. If you're painting something here in the chat, or if you're working on a project, whatever it is you're doing while you're hanging out here today, let us know in the chat, because we always like to chat. That's what it's there for. We're gonna get some tunes going here with our painting playlist, and we're gonna jump right in. Oh, see, we got some more folks in here today. Warhammer Clips and Bits, hello from Scotland. Much love. Finally, happy to finally catch a stream. Key member of the community. Appreciate your videos and your work. Well, thank you so much, Warhammer Clips and Bits. A Heidi hello from your Commonwealth pals here in Canada. Thank you so much. I'll have to check out. Sounds like that's a channel yourself. I might have to go check y'all out. Corwin's Tabletop, Swan. Swan sometimes changes in between week to week. When we get going, we get a little bit more color on Swan. Good to see you there, Corwin's Tabletop, and Enclave tuning in as well. Power armor equipped and ready to go. Physics lab just finished in time for Hobbies Hangout. Well, there you go. We're gonna get into some fluid dynamics here. It's probably not the same as physics. I'm not a science guy. I'm a whatever this is guy. But we're gonna get rolling here. As mentioned, we're working our way through Swan. We've got a lot of progress starting to come through here. Only a couple big chunks left to go. One of them being sort of this lower half here. Gonna tackle his leg armory bits, and the cloth sort of bits underneath there, and then probably maybe we'll tackle his base a little bit, get a little bit of color on there to kind of bring a little bit more life to it. We're working our way sort of back up now to where we're going to get going on all of the feathery bits from the Swan boat, but that's probably going to be next week where we dig into that, but we'll see how far we get here today. Let's jump in with these leggings. Gonna start off, well, there's a lot going on here, as you can see. Speaking of which, we have this new ability here now. Ooh, where we can zoom, which is super nice. Thank you to everyone who donated to the Level Up Challenge. We'll have an update on that very soon, by the way, to make things like this possible. But we've got lots of different details going on here, as you can see. We got chains, we got ropes, we got cloth, we got these metal plates. I think it'd be kind of cool to sort of differentiate the two plates in the front, mix it up a little bit for some variety rather than have them just like a plain metal. Maybe we'll do one kind of like a pastel blue to kind of tie into to this anchor rust here. I don't know. We'll see what we're feeling. We'll see what we're feeling. Leon Jones, what is your opinion on the? Oh, I need to scroll so I can see on the Pit-Boy gear item in Fallout Wasteland Warfare. Is 4 points too low? Yes, probably. It's a neat item, which I very much enjoy, that it's been added in. For those who are not familiar, it's basically free action point on your activation, which is pretty awesome, especially because quick actions have become... there's been a proliferation of quick actions, if you will, over the last few waves as far as character abilities on their stat cards and stuff. They're sort of starting to unlock action points away from the traditional, you need a heroic sort of card. There seems to be more sort of getting added in. So I think it's a cool item. 4 points for an action point, depending on what it is. Yeah, when you think about it caps-wise, that could be a pretty big game changer, right? Starting off for our cloth here, going to use this Citadel base that I picked up. I've never used this paint before, but I think it'll work good as a cloth. sort of shadow. So we're going to start with that here on the palette. But I like that item to go back on the Pip-Boy Leon Jones. I do indeed. I think it's a good mixture. It plays well with Go Figure, Vaul Dwellers. But, you know, in narrative modes, you know, could very well be handy on something like the Gunners, just kind of spitballing. You know, a lot of their abilities are sort of locked to their range, but some of them are also quick action dependent. So, could be kind of cool that away. But yeah, I mean, never a bad time to have an extra quick action. At the very least, if your character doesn't have, you know, if you're lacking in a quick action proper, in most cases, you're going to be able to prepare. Which, also a very handy mechanic, because anytime you can juice actions in your opponent's turn, it's a big deal. Allows you to react to them. And also maybe execute a plan that you may have had. But very cool item. Yeah, some cool stuff in the Capital Wasteland overall. Haven't gotten as many games in with the units as I would like. But the ones I have played, very much enjoy Elder Alliance. It's a good time. The new Brotherhood faction abilities, you know, I enjoy it. I think it's nice that they got something. As sort of mentioned in my review video, I do think it could have been cool to see maybe something a little more fluffy, if you will. You know, something sort of tied to their technological prowess. But not complaining. A constructive criticism more than anything on that. Ooh, and let me know what you're painting there, Robin Mankiller. Curious, what models do you have on your painting desk here today? And likewise, for anyone else getting some painting in, let me know what you're working on, or if you have any questions at all. Apologies to the 2D20 crowd as we missed last week's episode. Everything fell apart at the very last minute. About 10 minutes after making sure everybody was good to go and everything was going to be great for the show, and like putting out the Twitter blasts and the Instagrams and whatnot, the wheels fell completely off the bus. Bunch of family things conspired against us. Thanksgiving weekend here in Canada. But that wasn't even what got us. But anyway, short story long, we had to cancel the show last minute. We felt like some dorks. Tried to figure out a way around it, but life gets in the way. So, all that to say, we are back this weekend. On Sunday, with the continuation of the Fistful of Neutrons saga. And then we're working out what the schedule is going to be like after that, whether we're going to go do some back-to-back weeks to kind of make up for the lost time, or move to a slightly different schedule. So TBD on that. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Robin Mankiller is working on printing. My mistake. Well then, we're talking about the Wild West of miniature production. Then printer go brrr. Very cool. Printing BOS, lots of them, and robots too. Well then, very cool. Yes, the final frontier of miniatures, 3D printing, which I've yet to become a printer, as just haven't pulled the trigger, and the resources are, it's that startup cost, right? It's that high initial sink, and then after that, supposedly, things get cheaper. But space and fundage have been two big roadblocks, and also it's kind of intimidating, not gonna lie. 5 years experience now. Well then, yes, you are a vet at this point, I would say. They have come a long way, I know that much. Always impressed with what the community is pumping out as far as prints and the like. I've been lucky enough to receive some from our fantastic community as gifts for the channel and whatnot. And boy howdy have they been amazing. You can do some pretty fancy stuff these days. Oh, I realized I forgot to sip the paint water. There's a little bit in there, but we can go around it. It tastes like brown. It tastes like Swan's diaper. Oh no, that's not what you want. We must sip the water. To christen the session. iScore I might sound like a broken record, but I'm still waiting for my MCP core set. No, not broken record at all. When you want what you want and you know what you want, that's what it's all about. I get the waiting. Yes, that new core set looks fancy. I'd be very interested to the new sculpts look really cool. It'll be the side by sides that they've been sharing online of the OG to now really shows how far they've come. Okay. Now this is gonna be the tricky part, getting sort of underneath the armor plate while not also getting, I don't know if you guys will be able to see this at all. I'll try to angle this for the camera and not also screw up the paint job. Oh. This is like, I need like one of those like surgeon robots. There we go. We actually got in there pretty well. If you can see that weird ridge of cloth underneath his armor. I might have to go slightly off camera a bit for this. I don't know if you can see that there. Oh. That's okay. Once we get this sort of initial base here, I'm just gonna throw a little bit of a highlight, almost like a maybe we'll do a wash first. There we go. Already making progress. I'm all right if some of the black / gray from the underpainting shows through as well. It'll add a bit of contrast and sort of wear to the cloth itself. Raph, I make stuff. Thank you. I figured it out. Man, just returned the palette back to its place. Would have been fun painting alongside the stream. Oh, shucks. We miss you. Big love from Israel. Well, big love right back to you. Now more than ever. Thank you for tuning in. It's a pleasure to meet you and to have you on the stream. Too bad we just missed our painting ships are passing in the night. But thank you so much for tuning in. Raph, I make stuff. I'm surprised my dyslexic brain was able to decipher your handle. Robin Mankiller says, I need my rule books and we'll start writing. Oh, a campaign. Ooh, oh, got the great files in the Humble Bundle. Yes. Yes, are we talking which campaign, which system? Some Wasteland Warfare or some 2D20? Or something else entirely. There are still other, non-official Fallout RPG systems out there. The GURPS varieties. Oh, got a little furry burr here on the brush. Uno momento. We're not going to lick it like a savage, but we're just going to make sure our point is as pointy as possible. Fallout Wasteland Warfare, RPG. Ah, yes, the elusive third option, which was on my mind just the other day. I was having a chat about the deadness and lack of support for the aforementioned Fallout Wasteland Warfare RPG add-on. As it's, well, I mean, it's, you know, 2D20 has taken the, sort of the reins there. Which I'm okay with, but I feel like the experiment sort of led to other and different things. Which, I mean, Wasteland Warfare kind of, you know, already sort of plays like a RPG light, depending on how you play it. Ooh, yeah, probably mixed with mixed with 2D20. Yeah, the tables that they've got going on, the books are getting better. I have to say, the last, well, I mean, the only source books have passed the original, and well, me and the original have some gripes, which I've made abundantly clear. My displeasure of not having all of the core rules in the core rulebook, and a add-on required for the scavenging rules in the Game Master's Toolkit, but I digress. The last two books have been very, very comprehensive, I'll say. Still working my way through Settlers. But I'm enjoying the sort of settlementy mode nods in there. Ralph I Make Stuff says, I want to get my first mini set other than the core set. Oh, which way are you thinking of going? Are you going to build on one of the factions from the core set? Or branch out with something different? Creatures tend to be a pretty good sort of third option. Same with robots. Work for adversaries very well in solo mode. Okay, we're looking good here. Quick sip of the non-paint water. Must hydrate. Getting around the anchor chain here. The old ball and chain here. Go. I think what we'll do is we'll get this first sort of base layer down on all the cloth. Then maybe a quick shading, more than a wash, like a sort of pin shade, if you will. Pin wash. And then go on to the armor. The rope's pretty easy to do. But I think these plates will be more interesting than anything. Sort of have three of them here, really. This big one smaller one by his sort of inside of his ankle, and this one sort of on the outside of his calf. I think what we'll do, we'll go maybe with a sort of a dark iron, sort of again sort of a rusty chipped maybe kind of thing going on here with this guy, and then more vibrant colored ones on this side, I think. Let's just get a base metallic down. on this one here with Rough Iron by the Army Painter. It's really dark, but we'll add in some. You can see just how dark of a metallic it is there. It's like almost, well, not quite black, but it's dark. Don't want this to be too watered down. It's already pretty runny as is. But we'll do a little bit of sort of highlighting, chipping, not fully, not like we did with the anchor, not go that hard sponging on it, but show a little bit of wear and tear. 'Cause, I mean, this thing came off something, right? It whatever it was before, it wasn't always a shin guard for a giant monster. So let's reflect that. Tell a story with the paint, if you will. Robin Mankiller says, also planning and slicing a predator army. Okay. That could get tricky. I mean, I could see, predators coming and doing some hunting of some super beasts in the post-apocalypse. Raph, I make stuff. Would you recommend the Suiciders? Ooh, yeah. Once it has the minis and the actual rule. Yeah. Suiciders are a great addition to a mutant army. They basically force an action, right? On top of just, getting them in close and killing things, which they're very good at doing. By virtue of doing that and having that be the only thing they can do, you kind of force whoever you're playing against, even if it's yourself, to react to them. They're not the kind of thing that you can ignore. So depending on how and when you send them to do their thing, and what else you have going on at the time, they can make for a fantastic distraction. Plus, they're super fun models, just from a painting perspective. Actually, I bought a second box of them after enjoying painting them when I found some on sale, which I've yet to dig into. It's in my pile of shame / opportunity, waiting to be added to my ever-growing mutant force. Which, as I said on stream when we started this project, I think, discovered that counting up all my models, that super mutants are I've got the most mutants out of anybody in my collection. So I guess that means I'm a super mutant player. I thought it would be raiders to be anything, which is again not the way I saw myself going, but these are the hands we're dealt, people. Play the hero long enough, you live to see yourself become the villain, or whatever that Batman saying is. Do I have any local Wasteland War players in your area, and would you consider making PvP reports with them? It's a great question. Yes, there are a couple, not quite in the area. I've yet to connect with. There's a couple folks who I've connected with, sort of tangentially, who play Call to Arms, Skyrim, but I've yet to discover anyone who's sort of actively playing the game in my local circles. I'm sure they're out there, but at my local shops, there's people who know about the game, but nobody who's actively collecting or playing. So that's the one hiccup there. The second part of that question was doing PvP reports. Yes, which is something that I sort of envisioned would be sort of the next step, and we would have more of that this year on the channel, but due to sort of circumstances beyond our control, for a plethora of reasons. Battle reports have not been as plentiful as I would have hoped or liked. Working on fixing that. So stay tuned there. But as mentioned last week on stream, got plans for another, because we've had Justin come in and do some battle reports in the past, and have more plans for that. Don't have anything quite on the books, but I know what we're going to do, which is exciting. Starting with some Fallout, and then MCP, and then another Star Wars is the plan. But that all requires a lot of work. Battle reports are the, not to get in the YouTube weeds, but they are the most work for the least payoff. Not, that money-wise, but as far as views and stuff. It takes me about 40 hours, not including filming usually, to edit one of those, depending on what it is. So, the time sink, coupled with a lot of other factors, has led to less battle reports this year. But, as mentioned, a thing we are trying to remedy as quickly as possible. Moving on to these leg pads. We're going to start with a cool blue one here. I'm going to go with sort of these two and use it as my base, but I'm tempted to, I've got this sort of green-blue contrast paint, and because we've got sort of that underpainting on the go, I think we're going to give this a try as the base. I think it'll play well. Let's find out. It's one of my favorite colors. What's it called? Aethermatic Blue by Citadel. Can't remember why I bought it, but I found more uses for this weird turquoise color than I would have ever imagined. It's a great highlight for plasma weapons. Warhammer 40k. Love it as like a, dilute it down to like a wash for blue stuff. And would you look at that? Subtle and lovely. It's got blue, sort of that oxidized rust thing going on because of the underpainting we've got there. Adding a little bit of pop without taking a lot away. And because of the, the green tone of his skin, which you can't even see that properly. Because the green tone of his skin too is giving us kind of like, it's pulling more green into what you're seeing than what's probably actually there. Give that a quick minute to dry there. That's not bad at all. I don't mind that. I think the other side will do something similar. I've got this. Well, you know what? That worked out well. Let's try this. Another contrast paint. Yandin Yellow? I don't know how to say it. Games Workshop. Come on, guys. Fucking burnt orange. Something. Sienna. I don't know. Something. Iyanden. So half of these have to be silent. And I'm not going to guess which ones. So we're going to try this out on the other sort of, so what to call it, a leg pauldron? But that's not a thing. Side here, which I now see that I've gotten some brown on. But that's okay. I think we'll be able to play around that. And it's on the back side. I don't think anyone's really paying attention. Check the chat. Okay. That is understandable. It says Warhammer clips and bits, and sounds like we've got good plans. Yes, yes, indeed, big plans. It all comes down to time and money, like most things in this world. But we're working on freeing up both of those things. can only do so much. I'm only one man. With a bunch of other guys. I've roped 3 war gamers into my area into getting into it. They are already into Warhammer, but they're enjoying Wasteland Warfare much more. Yeah, absolutely. The crossover's been interesting, you know. Being the biggest, sort of baddest war game on the block, you know, it's obviously the measuring stick. You know, and rightfully so. But it's been interesting seeing, you know, players coming from, right, and you know, finding the differentness. There's obviously similarities, but finding it also plays very differently. Finding the differentness refreshing. And what's also discovered now interesting too is that there's, because of the Wasteland Warfare's appeal to folks who wouldn't have maybe before played a tabletop miniatures game, but are huge Fallout fans getting into it, having players who now have gone the other way, who discovered Wasteland Warfare first as their entry-level game and have now gone on to Warhammer, and sort of the different intricacies is noticed there. We're just curious. Leon Jones says, I wonder, does Ryan Danger ever watch the works of Zach Hazard and Mike? Zach Hazard and Mike. That sounds kind of familiar. Zach Hazard, but I might be thinking of Trip Hazard, which I don't know why or what that is. That orange didn't work. I'm not a fan of it. So we're going to do something different. I'm just going to put that blue over the orange and see what kind of weird green we get. But no, tell me about this Trip Hazard, Zach Hazard, because he sounds like my kind of guy. What does a Zach Hazard do? I'm sure I could Google it, but my hands are tied. It kind of turned out like a weird green. We'll see how it dries once that contrast paint settles down. But in the meantime, let's put a little bit of highlights on that blue one with some Intense Blue by AK Interactive. It's very blue. Is it too blue? Let's find out. I'll water it down a lot. Hopefully not too much. Oh, that's good. Doing some edge highlights on the top here. Using the edge of the brush as the name would suggest. On the edge of the thing, like the name would suggest. I don't know. You guys can't quite see that. It's a weird angle. Got a bit of the shakes today, too. I don't know if it's wintertime setting in or what. Old man Dangerous getting the shakes. Very careful. I'm hunting super mutants. There we go. Okay. Nice thing with edge highlights too is that they don't always have to be a line, right? On the bottom here, I'm kind of stippling more than anything along the edge, building up sort of texture, getting a little bit of variance. Do the same kind of thing just on the flat surfaces here too a little bit. Just space them out. I'm not going to go in here with a sponge. It's too small. There's too many weird little details. But I can do a couple little, you know, ticks and scratches with the brighter highlight. Again, kind of show that this thing was on something before it was on Swan. Maybe you ripped it off. I know, you see these on a lot of super mutants here, actually. I don't know what they're supposed to be. Like the radiator, the grill or something. Doesn't look like a car part. Looks more like something like from a factory or something. Wherever the super mutants found it, I'm sure it's not great. Go. Like that there. Subtle yet vibrant, a little bit of pop. We're gonna go with another quick little chipping, sort of brushing, checking again with this sort of pastel. It's not quite pastel, it's more in that aquamarine family. It's closer to the base layer than it is to the highlight, I think. So kind of a middle ground between the two. Enclave here says, I've only started playing tabletop RPGs in the last year. Well, welcome to the family. And painting in the last month or so. It's insane how addicting it has been. Yes. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, it is. As someone who's rediscovered their love of miniatures and painting and all this stuff in his 30s, I can agree that, yeah, it gets its claws in you. It gets its claws in you. Yeah, it's the way it goes, though. The times they change. Yeah, there was nobody around to play the stuff with when I was growing up in small towns, and now it's tabletop simulator. You can find a game anywhere in the world, which is pretty cool. Which is pretty darn cool. Dungeons and Dragons, leagues, bar nights. It's never been a better time to be a geek, my friends. Lean into it. And despite the jokes, you can get laid. If that's your thing. Here we go. Nothing too fancy. 3 colors. Boom. Moving on. Moving on. So back to the very dark, poopy brown, metal looking one. We're going to dry brush it. In fact, with our very teeny, tiny little... Oh, I didn't clean this brush. It's goopy. It's goopy. We have something else for this. I have an even smaller brush that I use for dry brushing sometimes. I like this one because it's oval, but it's got the aforementioned goop on it, which I could get off easily enough, actually. Have a small, it's not a texture palette, it's basically a chunk of dried super glue on a cutting board that I use to, here we go, get off the gunk. See how dusty that is? Oh yeah. That's fine. I was doing some basing this weekend, and I used this and forgot to clean it. Oops, that's okay. So, dry brush. We've got some silver, some gun metal. I was able to shake the hell out of this week and get some more juice out of it. I've been running out of this for like a month. But I was able to get a couple more. We can get a couple more projects out of here. Oh, but I gotta be careful now because I don't want to get out too much. It's gonna go to waste. I could just go buy more, but I don't want to. I keep forgetting when I'm at the hobby store. So we're just gonna dampen the brush just a little tiny bit, just to help the bristles move a little bit. And also try to avoid some of that chalkiness that you get with dry brushing sometimes. But we're not really going too hard on this, just enough to sort of bring out the edges and the details on this aforementioned poopy brown iron. Bring out some scuffs, add some sheen. Charlie or Martin, take your pick. I'm going with this. People talk about dry brushing a lot, but you know, it's a bit of a weird misnomer and a bit of a skill. I always find using the edge of the brush gives sort of the best results. Load up the edge, wipe the edge, paint with the edge. Not a universal constant, but you can see it just like that. Already, that's got a little bit more zing to it. So now it's got almost like a gold, sort of bronzy sort of thing to it. Now, that's all we're gonna do on the dry brush portion of that. Now, if I could find my brush. Aha! Just gonna go in similar to how we did with sort of the chipping and the highlighting on this side, but just with that silver. Get some extra highlighty highlights. This gunmetal does really pop when it's all by itself. Go. Now it almost looks like a sort of like a titanium rather than a steel or an iron. Muted, not pulling any attention away from anything. We got a little bit of zippy color there. I think we will go with just a little tiny bit of wash. We're gonna do a really watered down orange acrylic. Scale color, scale 75. Mars Orange, which I like far more than the Mars Red from Army Painter. And do it sort of, and try to get sort of a rust, you know, you see like an old car, right? Fallout style, or, you know, just like out in the wilderness. It gets that rust streak, that runniness. Really see the minerals. So I'm just gonna get this really watered down, like really. There we go. And now we're gonna try to just run this sort of along the edges, and kind of let the water do the work a little bit. It's not gonna run as much as like an ink, but if I can really make it flot here. Oh yeah. There we go. I hope that's coming through. Because it's working. Can't water this down enough. Keep going. Keep going. Oh yeah, there we go. Might be going a little heavy on it, but we can dull it down if we have to. There we go. Scungy. This is pulling some of that color from the anchor down here, tying those sort of elements together while not going so hard in the paint, literally, with the chipping and whatnot. Evening all, Corbin, Bear, good. It's good to see you. How you doing? Welcome, welcome. Robin Mankiller, helping the Brussels sprouts. That's right. Helping the bristles sprout. Little rusty wash there. Samuel John Sandell, Sam Sandell, good to see ya. Howdy, howdy, welcome one and all for tuning in. We're coming into the, oh geez, time's flying by. Coming into the last half of our stream here, but we've got some progress on Swan already. We're doing the legwork today. It's leg day. We got a blue armory panel on the go. Still not sure what we're gonna do with this inside one. Tried a bit of a yellow, it didn't really work. We'll come back to it. And then this rusty metal looking leggy bit in here. I think we're gonna get these lower halves, his lower calves even, all good to go today, which is very exciting. Very exciting. This little rusty action here. And I might just leave that be. Let that dry, see how it sits. We got the metallic out. Why don't we go ahead and do these chains on this side here. So load up the brush. Again, sort of focus on the side here. Get it nice to a nice point. And we're going to do a nice little graze of an edge highlight here. Ooh. Let the primer slash underbrushing stay in the chain links and just get the top bit. Let the shadow that's already there do the work. Go. For those of you just tuning in, let me know what you're working on. If you're working on anything, always love to hear what's going down. Looking sweet so far. Well, thank you, Warhammer Bits and Clips. Very much enjoying this project. The weekly streams have been a great way to get Swan painted because I've been rather intimidated by this dingus. But it's coming together week by week. Last week was kind of the tipping point. The anchor was the week before, which was kind of like okay, here we go, it's coming together now. I mean, we took us a couple streams just to get through the skin, but yeah, the anchor, and then last week with the pants and his crotchal region really ties the room together. Oh, doing the bump in the thing. You can tell we're getting on the second half of the stream when I'm like, must get closer, must ruin posture. Sam Sandell, loving your color choices. Why, thank you very much. Yeah, very much enjoying this. The, you know, not really doing any like hard math when it comes to, you know, color wheel choices and whatnot. Just kind of winging it. Yeah, the anchor I think has set the tone for the remainder of how he's going to look. 'Cause the boat, you know, the boat's got sort of its vibrant thing. We use the contrast paints on it, so it's got like a lot of pigment and pops. But then that anchor just adds like such a level of Wasteland scunge that that we were lacking, that I think we're just going to carry that theme right through. Carry that theme right through. Yeah, I don't like how this weird yellow color turned out. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to paint it silver and start again. Because this is my show and I can do what I want. And also it looks really bad. Just get a little bit of silver in there. You know, I could honestly leave that. And it doesn't look horrible. It's on the inside of his leg. Or I could throw a bronze on there. But then, you know, with the orange of that orangey brown we've got as the base for the cloth, don't know that gold would play all that well. I think that's kind of why we lost that piece in the first place with the yellow. So maybe you're just silver. Probably end up doing a wash at some point anyway. Possibly between streams. But get that there just to say that it's done. Yeah, I like that better. It's not perfect. I'm still not 100% sure what we're doing with that armor plate. But I like that significantly better than what we just had. So that's how it's going to stay for right now. Not too shabby. Let's move on to some ropes. Yay! The worst part of this goddamn project. All the ropes. But, not bad. Got the chains. Got the plates. Got the base of his cloths. I think what we'll do is we'll just throw the brown on the ropes. And then, excuse me, a light brown wash. And then when we come back to it next week, a couple quick highlights on the cloth. And we're on to Feathertown. I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what I'm doing for that. I need to put some thought into how I'm painting these feathers because I've not figured out what I'm going to do yet. I have thoughts, but I have no plan. My being a Dark Angel player has prepared me for a multitude of feathery things, what with all the winged helmets and whatnot. But there's a lot of these. And my usual go-to is a little too slapdash for how much effort we're putting into this model. So I have to give some thought on what I want to do. I might do a test feather or two in between now and next week. Try to sort out exactly what the hell it is I'm doing. If anyone has thoughts, feel free to let me know. Speaking of, let's check the chat here. Zach Posey, hey, good to see you tuning in. All my actual project are at a standstill, waiting on an optic for my AK build and need a welder and floor pans for my 74 Plymouth Duster. Need smaller projects. It sounds like you do indeed. My goodness. A gentleman of many hobbies, it seems. A Renaissance man. Good to see you tuning in, Zach. We are nearing... I'm noticing now that this brown that I'm using that I use for the base of the ropes is shockingly similar to the brown I decided to... the completely different brown I decided to use for the cloth. It's not the same color. It's darker by a shade, but it is a orangey brown. It is a ochre sort of tone, but that's okay because we are going to be putting completely different temperatures of highlights on them when we get there. One will be very, very bright and white. Well, from a Wasteland perspective. and the other will be greeny yellow. But for right now, it looks like I probably should have just painted the entirety of these legs all in the one color. Look at that. Oh. There's a process. Trust the process. Doesn't feel like there's a process when I've spent all this time edge highlighting something that feels like I should have base coated. But this is why we're here. We're making mistakes and we're learning together. It's why we're here. It also means that I'm not so worried if this edge highlight I'm doing here at the moment goes a little cattywampus. But this part I do care about as it's on the metal. Okay. There we go. That's good enough for the girls I go with as far as a wash is concerned on that leg. So we'll put the wash on there as soon as we finish this rope on this side, which I need to be even more careful about. Whew. There we go. And we're off to the races. Get as pointy as I can here. Sorry I'm moving this guy around so much, but this is not the easiest angle to get at. And if I can get it done, then we can move on to, yes, a wash. Huzzah. Okay. We are in fighting shape. I'm gonna do a little bit of touch up on his foot here for when my dry brushing went a little excessive on his heel, the top arch of his foot there. But we'll get to that in a minute. So let us, which is becoming a tradition now, ending the stream with a lovely flesh wash. When you need to wash your flesh, use Flesh Wash. Ding! WGNR brand Flesh Wash. Is it for washing your flesh? Is it something you wash that's made of flesh? Only you can find out. I like this, I think I've mentioned this on stream before. I like this wash more than Army Painter's light brown wash. I find it's kind of like a good in-between of like their light and mid-tone. And just works for stuff that isn't flesh. So. Just because it says it on the bottle doesn't mean that's what you got to use it for. I try to avoid the chains. When we get to that leg. Well, I'll use the big brush for this leg because I'm not really too concerned about it's all just one big chunk. Don't really need to worry about the details that much because that's what we're trying to bring back to life with this wash. Plus, we are going to do a bunch of highlights on this. So it's okay if it gets a little grimy. This side, on the other hand, I'm going to use the small brush for. Going to be a little bit more discerning with our placement. But we are really off to the races with this project, gang. Been really enjoying these live streams. They've been a nice way to break up the work week, sort of focus on something a little bit different, get back to the the love of the game, painting shit. Because these days I don't have as much time as I would like to hobby. So if I have to schedule it in with all you fine folks, that's what I'll do. Although I did get some painting time in this weekend and finished off, or maybe just a little bit more work on the base. And my Lionel Johnson will be complete. Whoa. And I'm very excited to maybe get a game in with him soon. But we are looking good. There's like a canvas sort of feel on this. Drop cloth kind of thing. Or like an orange tarpaulin. But there we go, gang. We're gonna let that sit for exactly 1 week, 6 days and 23 hours before we pick it up again and we come back to throw down on Swan one more time. It's time for feathers. No more screwing around. Next week, we're going to do a little bit of highlighting, and we're going to jump into this big old chunk right here. Or maybe we'll start on the back, just so we know what we're doing before jumping into the side piece there. So, Baby Got Back next week. We are jumping in big time on the, like, I don't know how long these feathers are going to take, but they're going to take a while. But, like, we're over the hump on this now. Like, we're just in grind mode in the next couple streams. We're going to figure out what we're doing on these feathers, and then we're going to paint them. And we're going to do it together, and it's going to be a great time. But thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm loving these streams, as I just said. Really fun time. Looking forward to them, and looking forward to it already next week. So that'll be great. Speaking of looking forward to things, this Sunday we are back, finally, after a cacophony of disasters, which led to us having to cancel last week's show. But none of those problems will surface again this time. So we're going to be good to go. It's going to be great. Very excited to jump back to Kansas. It's going to be a great time. 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be rocking with the whole gang back and ready to go. So thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll also have some videos coming out this week, because everything, like I said, came to an absolute grinding standstill last week. But that means we're back in action, which is great. So we got some 76 covering the yet to be even announced Fallout 76 wave for Wasteland Warfare, which is coming. The Settlers book review, which is also going to be coming very soon. And then we got the live show on Sunday, which is going to be very, very fun. I'm so excited to see what in the hell Agent Surprise Boulette has been up to. Things have taken a big turn in our 2D20 campaign. So if you haven't caught up, get caught up before this Sunday, because we're like, things are heating up. There's giant suits of power armor and everything's going crazy. But I digress. Corbin Bear, Dark Angels, Best Legion, period. I would tend to agree, but I'm biased. But we got lots of folks in the chat here. Thank you all. New friends, new faces, and some joining in that we haven't seen in a while. Sam Sandell, thank you so much for coming in. Glad to see you, and glad you were able to make it. Warhammer Clips and Bits, thank you so much. It was great to meet you here on the chat. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to check you out as well. Zach Posey, can't wait for Sunday. Take it easy, y'all. Also can't wait. Very excited. Zach Posey's now a character in the industry, which is great. iScore there's more than the First Legion. Not as far as I'm concerned. Robin Mankiller, Enclave here, Leon James, oh gosh, just the gang's all here. Corwin's Tabletop, thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll be back on Sunday, and then again on Wednesday, all kinds of things in between then, which I have to go work on. right now. So, as we say, we will see you next time around, and bye-bye.